Lesson 71, Quadratic Formula. This is a really easy lesson, and you just have to memorize this formula. So let's do a little bit of review first. What we have here is a quadratic equation. That means that we have the x with exponent 2. That is the biggest exponent that it appears with. And if we put it in order, in descending order, x squared, x, and no x, the numbers that go with the variables are a, b, and c. So a is always going to go with x squared, b is going to go with x, and c has no x, it's just a number. Now, we've learned in the past different ways to solve these. Remember, to solve means to find the value of x. One of the ways we have learned is inspection. That's when we look for two numbers that multiply, give us c, and added, give us b. We also learned completing the square, and that's when we use the little corner on the side to find the answer. Today, we're going to learn about the quadratic formula, and this is it. You are going to have to memorize this quadratic formula. The fun thing about it is that we can use it in any case, in any quadratic equation. So sometimes we can use inspection, but sometimes we can't, and that's when we have to do completing the square. But the quadratic formula you can use for any kind of quadratic equation. Now, as you can see in the formula, what you're going to do is find the value of x by finding the opposite of b. Minus b means the opposite of b. And then you're going to add and subtract. So we're going to find two answers, the adding of the square root and the subtracting of the square root. And then inside of the square root, we have b squared minus 4 times a times c. And all of that over 2a. So let's look at the first example and see what we need to do. First, we need to make sure that this is in order. And in this case, it's given in order. So let's identify what is a, b, and c. In this case, a is 3, b is negative 2, and c equals negative 5. Then we're going to write our formula. Now notice that in the question it says find the roots. Roots is the same as solutions, is the value of x. Okay, so whenever you see the word roots or solutions or zeros, it's talking about the same thing. We just want to know what is the value of x. So as I was saying, we're going to put the formula, which is x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. And all of that is going to go over 2a. Now we already have the values of a, b, and c, so we're going to evaluate or change each one of them for the value that is given. Now b is negative 2, so I'll put here negative 2. Remember that whenever you change letters, when we evaluate, we put parentheses. So make sure you put the parentheses for each one of these. The value of a is 3 and the value of c is negative 5. All of that over 2 times 3. Now when we simplify that, we're going to have positive 2. So notice it's the opposite of b. b was negative 2, so it's positive 2. Plus or minus the square root of 4. And then when we multiply, we see a negative times a negative, so it's going to be plus 4 times 3 is 12 times 5 is 60. And then that is 2 times 3, which is 6. Now from here, I'm going to have two answers. I'm going to add, so it's 2 plus the square root of 64 over 6, and also 2 minus the square root of 64 over 6. Now, if we simplify that, we're going to get 2 plus 8 over 6, which is 10 over 6. And remember always to reduce, so that's 5 over 3. And in the other one, we have 2 minus 8 over 6, which is going to be negative 6 over 6, which is negative 1. And those are the two answers or solutions, the 5/3 and the negative 1. And that's it. Very simple. Now in this second example, it's the same thing, and it says find the zeros. So again, zeros is the same as solutions or roots. Now remember, the first thing we have to do is rewrite these in order. So I want it all on the same side, and I want it in order. So I'm going to keep the a positive, so x squared minus 3x minus 28. Because we have to change these two that are on the right, we're going to pass them to the other side by changing the signs. When I do that, that equals 0, and I can find the value of a, which in this case is 1, b, which in this case is -3, and c, which in this case is -28. Now we're going to write our formula, and then we're going to change the values. Again, minus b means change the sign of b. So instead of -3, I'm going to put +3. We're going to do -3 squared minus 4 times 1 times -28. And all of that over 2 times 1. When we simplify that, we're going to have 3 plus and minus. And then for the square root, we have 9 plus 4 times 28 is 112. And all of that over 2. And again, to continue that, we have to add and subtract the square root of 121 over 2. Now in these two examples is nice because both of them are perfect squares, so that makes it easier to simplify. So we have 3 plus the square root of 121, which is 11, over 2, and that equals 14, and 14 divided by 2 is 7. And the other x is going to be 3 minus 11 over 2, which is -8, divided by 2, which is -4. So the two answers are x equals 7 and x equals -4. Now remember that we've learned in the past that to write the solution set, we put it like this. That is -4 and 7. So that's it. That's our answer. So watch the video again if you need extra help, or write me in the comments and I'll help you. And I'll see you in the next video.